back. Cool. Coach, whenever you're ready, we'll start with the season.
Yeah, but just another great college basketball environment. You know, this is why you do rivalry games. You know, it's so fun to have a lot of Carolina fans there on a weeknight. So that was really fun. I hope our group, obviously we were pretty undermanned and shorthanded as we try to get healthy for our or get to our best for the playoffs that are coming up. So I think the fatigue sort of settled in there in the third quarter into the fourth. But if we got a little bit deeper tonight, a little more experience, then it's a good thing for our group moving forward.
Questions?
Yeah, just give an update on Renee.
Oh yeah, she's minute to minute. She'll be back.
I guess just quick follow-up, just an update on Husby.
You saw her. I mean, she was. I almost sucked herself in it. She'll be back too. You know, it's a long season. It's a really physical game. Obviously, we put a lot of miles on those kids, and you know, you just want to make sure that you don't put them in a position where they're going when they're not ready, right? And so, you know, if this was an NCAA tournament game, it might be a little bit different. But we've got some more season left, and we want to make sure we're at our best when we need to be.
When did you know you would do it without Renee, and what were some of the adjustments you had to make because of that?
We made that decision pretty early in the day yesterday. You know, and you know, Grace is more than capable, right? And she got some really good minutes tonight in a great environment. And so, you know, the adjustment is that you shortened your bench, right? And so you've got two guys that are averaging, you know, over 26 minutes a game that you now have to kind of spread out. So had to use a lot of younger guys. What a great environment to do it, right? If you're trying to grow your group quickly, I think this is a pretty special group. And so the deeper we can be, the better. And so it just meant that, you know, Lanie's young. She's got a lot of energy, so I'm not not worried about her fatigue going into postseason. She's a child, so she's got plenty of energy. But the other guys were just, these old ladies were just trying to keep fresh.
Lanie, with you know, with Renee out, Coach called your number and put you in the starting lineup, I think, for the first time this season. So first time in your career, you stepped it up, you know, with the team in scoring, a couple big three-pointers. How did it feel just kind of being on this stage and playing in this environment?
Yeah, I mean, this is
But that was taller than you is.
oh my gosh, it's not gonna shine. Oh no, but this is a stage you want to do it on. I mean, packed, loud. That was definitely the loudest gym I've ever played in. Special environment, special rivalry. So to be able to do it on that stage, it meant a lot. And it shows the trust that she has for me, and I really appreciate that. And obviously, I wish we could have gotten out of here with the win, but you turn the ball over as much as we did, and I had the ball in my hands quite a lot, so I take responsibility for most of those. But just continuing to learn and grow, and knowing that it might be close to end of the season tournament, but like this is the stuff that we can continue to grow and learn from, and it's just going to make us better. And like she said, we got a lot more experience tonight, and I think that's going to take us farther in the long run.
Lanie, I have a quick question for you. First off, the game tonight, you scored 17 points. Can you talk about scoring 17 points with such a lockdown defense and with the turnovers?
Yeah, with Renee out, she brings some points as well as Alyssa, so I knew that gap was going to have to be filled somewhere. And I feel like I've heard it about 30 times in the past 72 hours, just attack, be aggressive, take space. She pours so much confidence into me, so it was just like finding the flow within the offense. I think that we were having trouble moving the ball at some points in the game, and so that maybe hindered some looks that Lexi normally gets or some looks that Maria normally gets. So if we continue to go in with this type of lineup, learning and watching the film, this is going to be a crucial game to go back and watch the film back and learn a lot. So.
Courtney, you mentioned the fatigue. At what point do you feel like that set in, and how do you think it affected the game, specifically?
I thought, it takes a lot of energy. That's what's so great about basketball is it's a two-way sport, right? So you're playing. You don't get to sub out because it's a new play, like in football, and your coaches tell you something and you get to do that one thing, right? So the fluidity of the game, especially for you're asking guys to play 30 more minutes than maybe they usually do, or something like that. So I think the fatigue sort of set in halfway through. I mean, at halftime, I felt like they were locked in, but you spend this much time with them, you can tell when they're a little bit fatigued, right? So some mental energy mistakes, some lack of quickness and separation, the things that we know we need. So I don't know exactly when, but it was a big push for for a lot of young guys.
Yeah, just as a follow-up, do you feel like that was the biggest contributor to the turnovers, or was that something else that you saw?
Oh, I mean, Duke and us are two of the best teams in the league. We force the turnovers all the time. I think Alyssa had 11 the last time we played them herself. So I think we actually had, 26 the last time, so this is an improvement. So that's good. I think we averaged about 12, but 20 is an improvement.
Even without Alyssa, you guys are holding your own under the boards, and is that kind of what kept you in as long as you did?
No, I mean, they have 14 offensive rebounds, so I don't know if that's holding your own. I think we just got a lot of defensive rebounds. So, you know, we don't get our rim run quite as much when Alyssa's not in, and obviously she's such a great rebounder for us. So I thought and also you're shorter on that rotation too, right? So there were times where we had 2 freshmen post in, and you know, and they're so used to, you know, being able to play for each other and stuff. So, you know, we weren't great on the glass. I thought that was actually, an area that they score almost 50% of their points off transition on the old glass on the year. So those were sort of the statistics we were caring about, is how can we take care of the ball in this type of environment, and can we keep them off the glass? And I thought we were okay, not good enough.
According to go off that, you mentioned having the 2 freshmen in at the same time. I know you said you knew you would be without Lanie pretty early on Wednesday, but I guess what was some of the challenges of adjusting to some of the different lineup combinations, and the fact that it is as late in the season as it is, like what are the advantages you get having seen so many of them play in different contexts?
Yeah, I mean, there's a rhythm to your offense, right? And that's just, especially when I'm not good at numbers, but I think we're 30 or so games in, or maybe, I don't know, you guys know better than me, but, there's a rhythm to your offense, right? And so then you take someone who's sort of runs the tempo of the team, and you have her on the sideline, that rhythm is already a bit disrupted, right? And then you have young guys in that are usually kind of the 5th guy, and the other 4 can kind of operate around. Now you need them to be the one initiating, whether that's a screen or what is the secondary look if they take away the primary look. I mean, that's all pretty advanced stuff, right? And so, going from your primary to your secondary look seamlessly is kind of a rhythm and a maturity that we didn't have in all lineups tonight, quite honestly.
Courtney, slightly related to the game, about 30 minutes beforehand, the final top 16 came out before the selection Sunday.
Yeah.
And, the 3 triangle teams are all in that top 11, top 12 range.
Yeah.
What would it mean just for college basketball in this area to have 3 host sites that first weekend? I
mean, it's how lucky to be in an area where, as a fan, you can watch 3 top 15, legitimate top 15 teams, right, play. And that's how the seeding works in the NCAA tournament. So we should we should all 3 be hosting. And I know the women's tournament is still sometimes an economical save on the ESPN. So also you save a lot of money when you're traveling. You can send them on down, and you can fly in the same airport, and you can have the same crew do all 3 places, right? But I know it hasn't happened in a while, but to have 3 top 15 teams in a half-hour radius, there's basketball is pretty healthy in the triangle for sure. And I hope that the proximity it shouldn't deter, right? It should only help. I mean, I'm kind of joking on the cost saving, I'm kind of not, right? But then also, you look at the body of work, right? And so you look at the wins that you've had and the losses that you've had, right? Like we haven't lost to anyone outside the top 25, right? And we've beaten some teams that are ahead of us, right? And so when you look at the body of work, it's sort of, that's the charge of the committee, to look at the body of work.
Is now upper body, lower body, whatever, and if this was an NCAA tournament game, would you likely make a different decision on whether this plays?
I think you don't want to take the opportunity away from anyone playing at any time, right? And so these are not kids that are like rolling over and saying, Coach, I don't want to play, but they do see the big picture, right? And so what you do instead is you use all the metrics that you have to make sure that their explosivity and their balance and their strength comparisons are the same. And if they're not, that means fatigue has really set in. That doesn't put them in the best position to be successful. It puts them in an injury risk, right? And so you make decisions. These are young people that have a lot ahead. So you make decisions for them the day by day, right? And I know it's really it's so much easier to have kind of a timeline and to have a written kind of this is what's going on. But, we really use the sports science program that we have, and 2 games in until the tournament, and then you have a week. Like you gotta be smart, and that's what we're doing.
How special?
Last question.
How special do you think the ACC tournament will be next week? Battle tested 5 ranked teams.
Yeah.
How special do you think it will be?
Yeah, I mean it's such a premier basketball conference, right? And so then you have them all in one place, and And even the teams that aren't ranked are really solid, right? And so they have a chance to play for something, play their way in a lot of ways. And so, you know, I remember my first year I went to the NCAA tournament, and I really feel like I was the first game. Like I felt like it was the morning, and I was playing on like a Tuesday. And so I just said to myself, just get me out of Tuesday, and then get me out of Wednesday, or maybe it was a Wednesday game, get me out of Thursday, get me out of, you know, and so I'm glad that these guys are battling enough to get us out of some of those first rounds.
Great, thanks, Evan.
Thanks, guys.